Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for Embracing Diversity at Living to the Max. I appreciate that you're all very busy people, and so thank you for your time. And thank you for those joining us via the Teams link that I sent and those joining us in person today. So from today's session, by the end of the session, you'll have an increased understanding about diversity, an appreciation of why diversity is an important part of the Living to the Max culture, knowledge about our diversity plan, supporting requirements and initiatives, and insights into diversity awareness and training, including what we do at Living to the Max. So diversity is the unique factors that make us up as individuals. These factors can be observable, including gender, age, language, ethnicity, cultural background, and visible disabilities such as an amputation or possibly having a stroke. Whereas non-visible or invisible diversity includes such things as sexual orientation, religious beliefs and values, and invisible disabilities such as autism or mental health issues. So some people may say diversity, isn't that just being politically correct and the latest buzzword in business and organisations? So diversity has actually been a big part of our community for generations. We are now more aware of the benefits diversity can bring to our communities and workplaces, such as innovation, creativity, and improved relationships. Diversity isn't just the politically correct thing to do. It is part of our shared human experience that should be celebrated and encouraged. Diversity and an inclusive culture benefits the organisation by increasing innovation and creativity because you have different perspectives. Improving client services and outcomes, again, because you've got the innovation and creativity. Increased ability to attract and retain quality team members. Increasing employee satisfaction and trust, which promotes improved teamwork and relationships. So really, if you think about it, which scenario would you prefer? Working in a workplace that has creativity, innovation, high quality client services with amazing outcomes for our clients, an environment that encourages positive relationships, trust, and outstanding employee satisfaction and retention, and experiences sustained client goal attainment, or scenario B, where you have none of the above. Most people are going to say scenario A, which is why diversity is an essential part of the Living to the Max culture. So at Living to the Max, we're part of the Med Health group, and as being a part of that group, we follow their policies and procedures and plans. And so we're a part of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Plan from 2023 to 2028. And the goals of that plan are to be a diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplace for all, to be a diversity leader and educator, and to provide accessible and inclusive services focused on the individual. So just to look at that a little bit further, so as customers or service users of Living to the Max, This would be the goal of the inclusion plan, the diversity, equity, inclusion plan, that has the most relevance to you. And that would, as I said, to provide accessible and inclusive services focused on the individual. And so what we want to do is enable our teams to effectively meet the unique needs and circumstances of every client and customer through education, skill development, innovation, and technology enablement in an environment that is inclusive and accessible. So they're the things that we're committed to meeting for you as customers or clients of Living to the Max. So in all organisations, there's legislative and organisational requirements that we need to meet. These are some of the acts and policies that we need to meet as a part of diversity, equity, inclusion at Living to the Max. So for example, the plan needs to incorporate the Age Discrimination Act of 2004, particularly the Disability Discrimination Act of 1992, because we work with many clients with a variety of disabilities. Then internally or within the organisational requirements, we have the Med Health Equal Opportunity Discrimination, Harassment, Bullying and Grievance Resolution Procedure, and also the Med Health Human Rights Policy.
That is a long list and doesn't seem that relevant to me. How does this impact my experience as a service user?
That's a really great point, because looking at that list, you might think, oh, I don't know how that's all relevant to me. But what we need to make sure when we're providing our services to you, that we are meeting the requirements of these legislative acts, so that your service provision is, for example, following the Australian Human Rights Commission Act. But also it gives you a way of, say if you have a grievance about the way that we are providing services, or an experience that you've had with one of our clinicians, well then we can use the Med Health procedure, the resolution procedure, to look at that complaint or look at that concern that you have in your service provision. So not only did these legislative and organisational requirements have relevance internally to our teams, they are what we use to guide our service provision for you as service users. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so I thought I might have a look at some of the Med Health diversity initiatives. So as I mentioned before, Living to the Max are a part of the wider Med Health group, and these diversity initiatives are ones that we are embedding at Living to the Max as well. So we have our flexible working policy, and these are all just examples. There is a really long list, but as I said, examples include the flexible working policy, the parental leave policy, domestic and family violence policy, our people and culture matrix. We also have a diversity, equity, inclusion working group. Inclusion at work. Now, inclusion at work, that's the celebration of different diversity group days. So, for example, International Women's Day or International Day for People with Disability. And we also have our Med Health communities. So our Med Health communities are groups, diversity groups that provide support to each other, like a peer support type program, but also help guide us with our diversity awareness training and other initiatives to improve the workplace experience of those diversity groups.
Again, great examples of what you are doing within your workplace. But how does this enhance my customer experience?
Again, great question, and thank you for raising it, because many people might be having that thought. So I'll give you an example. So we've all been, I say all because as a mum with a child with a disability, I've had the challenge of having consistent therapists involved with his care. So we have, many of us have had the example or the experience where we've got an amazing therapist, we've been working with them for a really long time, having fantastic goal attainment, but they've just reached that time in their life where they become a mum or a dad, and then they need to take some leave. So we have the parental leave policy that has paid parental leave, both for mums and for dads. And then what that paid parental leave policy encourages is then the person to come back to work, because a part of that policy has the criteria that on receiving they get part of the payment for the parental leave policy, but also they get the second part of that payment on returning to work. So it really encourages our experienced therapists to come back to the workplace and continue that amazing support that they've been providing our clients. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. So next we're going to look at why we need diversity awareness training. Okay, so diversity awareness training is an important part of building knowledge, skills and confidence in diversity and creating inclusive workplaces. Increasing diversity awareness and teaching team members to embrace workplace diversity decreases the risk and impacts of workplace conflict due to not understanding differences, challenges long-standing biases and misinformation, and promotes organisational cultural change. Diversity training can assist team members to build productive business relationships, in addition to decreasing bullying, harassment, and discrimination.
I understand the positive impact on your workplace. However, how does the diversity awareness training improve my customer experience?
So the diversity awareness training not only improves the team members' understanding of diversity, within their work relationships or team relationships, but it also helps understand diversity within their therapeutic relationships. So working with their clients, families and other stakeholders, because again, when they have that understanding of diversity and the positive things that diversity can bring, but also that awareness of differences in diversity groups, it then builds that positive relationships, that trust and therapeutic relationship.
Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so I thank you all for coming to the presentation today. I really appreciate you giving up your time, because I understand it's precious, especially when there's so many demands on our time and our busy schedules. Did anyone have any further questions that I can help with today?
Yeah, just one last one. Diversity awareness training, do you complete?
Thank you for asking that question. So we complete a range of diversity training, from child safety, also working with cultural and linguistic diverse groups. working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, working with people with a disability, and as a result of some of the initiatives that we have implemented, so for example the med health communities, the neurodivergent community have developed diversity training for those working with neurodiversity, so working with customers and clients with neurodiversity, but also working with team members with neurodiversity so that they can have a greater understanding of neurodiversity and the impacts that it can have. So if there's no other questions, again, thank you very much for your time today, and please reach out if you have any other questions.